Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to move from your traverse entry data, how to bring it into ArcMap using a shapefile. So in this, you'll notice in this data set I've got trees here. So each one of these rail shots is a different tree. And for each tree I have tree height data and tree species as well. And I'm interested in having all that in my map in ArcMap. So here's what you first need to do is you need to make sure that this .tr1 is saved somewhere that you can retrieve. And then what we're going to do is move into another component of RoadEng. So in Apps Anywhere, there is what's called Terrain Module, and this is the one we're going to be working with. If you don't have terrain added yet, you go to Renar here and you can add that app to Apps Anywhere. So I've already opened up terrain. There we go. And what you need to do is you're going to open and you're going to add that TR1 file to terrain, which I've already done, but I'm going to do it again. So you open it up and you add it here, and I'm going to save changes. Nope. Okay, and here it is. Okay, so here is your same traverse but depicted in the terrain module. From here, you can now save this as a shapefile. You can go to File, Save As, and you may need to scroll through the selection of options here, but you want to pick what's called ArcView Shape. Okay, I've got other versions of this already, so my earlier version I called Tree Height Species. I'm just going to save it as something else. Okay, so this is my second version of that. So you're now going to save it. Now here's what's the important steps, is that you need to, this should be, haha. I already did this earlier, so now this is problematic. But the steps are the same. So you'll notice that there's this points and feature. If you select feature, what you're now including is the polyline. So it's the line of your traverse. And what we're interested in is in the points. So we want the trees, and what will come with that is also the stations. So you want to go to points, and then you're going to go to add remove, because what we want to add is the columns and the attributes that we're interested in having. So for example, you may want to add things like, eastings. So you click on add, and northings, and elevation. I might be interested in those, to have those in my attribute table in ArcMap. And then also under survey points, you should be able to find the tree species data. So I'm going to click on tree height, add, tree species, add, and a label to add. Fantastic. Okay, so click OK. So now all this data is contained here. And now what you're going to do is, actually you need to include Z values if you want. And this is also helpful later. We'll play around with that and say OK. Okay, so once that's been exported, you can now add it to your map, which I've already done. So I've added this tree height species, which is essentially the same thing as what I just exported. If you right click on here and open up the attribute table, you'll see all those attributes that we decided to export as a shapefile. The easting, the northing, the elevation, but also tree height, tree species, and the labels, so trees 1 through 6. So next, what we can do with this is we can play around with symbology. So go to Properties, Symbology, and add the categories that we're interested in, for instance, species. And the other thing in here you can do is also labels. So under labels, maybe I want to include height. So under the field, you pick the field or the column that you want to label your trees by. So I'm going to pick tree height. And you need to check this box here, label features in this layer. Click that and OK. So now what you're going to see is the trees. You're also going to see your stations, but you also have height labels with each one of those points. So that's how to export your RoadEng data, bring it into ArcMap using a shapefile, which allows you to show all sorts of different attributes.